Hello, my brave, beautiful warrior soul friends. I am here with all my parts of consciousness. We're doing a bunch of work in our truck. It's one of the only places that feels safe when we're dissociated. So, with the dissociative identity movement, we're going to have to really work together on this, you guys. So, here's a couple thoughts, and I want to know your guys' thoughts on my thoughts. So, to be an effective worldwide movement, everyone in the movement has to be on the same page to some degree. And yet, my hope is for the movement to be a platform for a wide variety of voices with not exactly the same message. So we're really like hitting all the marks. Like, you know, this journey is so big and vast. This topic is so extensive and newly explored. And so what one person might share would resonate with some people, and what one person might share might resonate with some people, and they would both be doing good in the world. And so I want that to be the case, and yet at the same time, I want us to be on the same page with the mission of what we're actually doing, what we're doing and why we're doing it. And so it's important to kind of get on the same page with a general outline of the movement specifics. And then from there, we can kind of go branch off and do our own creative projects to create content to be shared within the movement, responding to the various aspects of the movement's, format and layout and stuff. And so one thing I have been very torn about is how to present the concepts of parts, because the way that I was taught about it is different from my understanding now, and it's only been a couple years. And so there's clearly a lot of different ways to explain this topic, and no one knows who's fully accurate, because it's still an evolving discussion. It's still an evolving concept that we're learning about in science and history. Like this is all in the process of evolving. And so there isn't a standardized, this is the, objective truth of the matter kind of a thing. And so we're kind of creating and shaping the way that we want to share these concepts as we go. So with parts, I was like, originally I was thinking there's the going on with normal life self, previously called the apparently normal part. And then there's the trauma-related parts of consciousness, previously referred to as emotional parts. But this leaves such a big gap. Like, there's so many different kinds of parts, and it doesn't really, having these two categories doesn't really tell you anything about parts. It just tells you that they hold trauma, and that's not enough. And so that was the original thought, but I was like, we need more. And so then I was exploring more specifics, like the different roles of parts. These are the different types of jobs the parts could play, and, purpose for existing, and, attributes they, may generally possess or something. Kind of like a blueprint, almost like a very abstract skeletal thing, and then people can come in and share their experiences of their parts with this kind of skeletal structure. But even with that, we couldn't really be in agreement, because there was such a wide variety of ways of describing the roles of parts. So I have a new idea, and I'm really excited about this, because everything that all the different ideas couldn't quite fulfill, this really kind of does it all. So I've been reading this article, and it talks about this article specifically. I've read a lot of different articles like it, but this specific article, if you want to try to look it up, or I can maybe leave the link in the description below, it's called A Brief Overview of the Developing Brain, How You Can Help Your Kids Thrive as They Grow. And it was published on medium.com. Okay, so that's the article. And it outlines and discusses in depth, and yet in a way that's very easy to understand, which is always helpful for my dissociative brain. It explains how the ego states evolve in early childhood development, and how that impacts the neurobiological development of consciousness. And so there's three main, I know My perception of myself keeps changing as I talk, and it's really, 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 really challenging not to let that stop my train of focus of what I'm attempting to say. Like, I can feel the way I'm moving my mouth and smacking my lips against my teeth and moving the corners of my smile and stuff. It's all shifting, and sometimes it feels familiar and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it changes and sometimes it stays the same, and like all those perceptions keep making it hard to focus on what I'm actually trying to say. Life with a dissociative identity, am I right? So the brain developing has 3 main brain parts to it. The midbrain, the reptilian brain, or the hindbrain, and the neocortex. I forget the other name for that brain. The limbic brain is the midbrain, and then the neocortex is the front brain. There's a couple different ways of describing these parts of the brain. But basically there's these 3 things that develop. And the midbrain really feels like it's the child parts of consciousness. And the reptilian brain really feels like it's the protector parts of consciousness. And the neocortex really feels like it's the going on with normal life self part or parts of consciousness. And when we look at how each of these portions of the brain develops, it completely explains every single thing that wasn't making sense with my dissociative identity, including age regression with child parts of consciousness and the black and white, strict, restricted kind of thinking of fight protectors. Like, even when we're really extensively far in integration and therapy process and trauma processing and everything, when these parts are present, it's their portion of the brain that's doing the thinking. And it very much is a different way of perceiving the world and this and that. But all of my parts can be grouped into 3 main categories: child parts, protector parts, and the normal part. The part that's trying to be normal, apparently normal life self. Child parts for me include submit, attach, and flight parts. So it's not even like specifically restricted with nervous system or anything like we had previously explored, because we'd previously explored sharing parts through nervous system regulation. But that gets confusing because then some parts are child parts and some parts aren't, and where does that get explained? And so I was hesitant to pursue that path that we had discussed about a few weeks back in the dissociative identity movement discussion. So my concept, and I'm really excited about this, but I really want this to be a worldwide discussion. So if you guys aren't excited about this, it's back to the drawing board for me. So let me know what you guys think, and like maybe pros and cons, and maybe the things that excite you about it and the reservations you have about it, and maybe the ways that it could be helpful, and maybe the ways that it might not fully do the job of explaining. Like, any and all thoughts. I need every thought you're thinking, every feeling you're possessing, every notion you're concocting, all of it. I need all of it to do this movement. My brain can help make sense of a lot of different things, but I need those different things so we can make sense of it. So please, 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 please give me your feedback so I can know how to proceed with this, because I'm on a mission and I can't do this mission without you guys. So let's be on a mission together. So I will try to outline maybe more below, because I know different parts of me think better or differently when we're typing versus speaking. But the midbrain, just reference this note real quick. The midbrain is the limbic brain. And my theory is that that's related with child parts. So let me tell you now a little bit about each of those parts of the brain, at least from what I have in my notes right here. And then we can discuss this a little bit further, okay? I didn't want to make this video too long, but this is a big topic and I need to make sure I'm thorough. So please, please bear with me, and thank you so much for being a part of World Change, because that's why we're here. This is not just, oh, I'm just hanging out watching some YouTube videos doing nothing with my life. No, we're changing the fucking world. I hope you're excited about that. Like, it's really exciting. So the limbic brain, we'll start there. The midbrain, the limbic brain, is the intermediary between our reptilian brain and our neocortex. The purpose of the midbrain is to make us care about other members of our species. It wields emotions to accomplish this goal. The joy of loving someone, the profound sadness of losing someone. That's the limbic system at work. Why do mammals have this system while reptiles don't? And then it kind of talks about like the evolution of things and whatnot. And so the whole purpose of the limbic brain is to help us live in community. It's to help us connect with other human beings. It's to help us survive in relationship to other people. And then the reptilian brain, or the hind brain, is resembles the brain of a reptile, literally. In fact, that's funny, this typo. Your hind brain looks like a crocodile's entire brain. It regulates breathing, heart rate, and other automatic functions. It is also responsible for reacting to threats. When you hear a loud bang, you flinch and duck reflexively, regardless of whether or not you are in actual danger. That's your hind brain reacting. Your hind brain is constantly asking, am I safe now? How about now? How about now? How about now? When you're in crisis, your reptilian brain often takes over completely until the crisis passes and you settle. And so if these different brains, literally these different brains within our brains, these different brains didn't integrate, then when the protector parts are out and the consciousness is saying we're not safe, these protector parts are fronting. And the protector parts are the ones regulating breathing and heart rate and like respiration and stuff. And that's why all of that stuff can get like out of hand and dysregulated. And without the access to the other brains, we don't have connection with people. We don't have the ability for higher level thinking. And that's my theory as to why protector parts are the way that they are, and why non-human parts of consciousness can exist. That's always baffled me. And I'm like, there has to be a neurobiological explanation. These people are not crazy. These people are not crazy. I'm going to close this so I can shout it from the frickin' rooftop. You are not crazy! You're not crazy! Stop letting the world tell you you're crazy! There is a neurobiological explanation for our experiences, and we can reclaim our power by explaining the neurobiology of our life experiences. We can take back our power, reclaim our sanity, and reclaim and transform our lives through this knowledge. And that's a big piece of what I want to do with the dissociative identity movement. So the reptilian brain, the hind brain, my theory is that this is protector parts. And parts wired to protect the system. And whether that's a persecutor, whether that's a caregiver, whether that's a protector, there's different like types of things that could go in here. There's different types of roles or jobs or part descriptions that could go within this category of reptilian hind brain. And then the limbic brain, the midbrain, is where we have our emotional connections. And so my protector parts don't have an ability to feel emotionally connected with people. And it is devastating. It is heart-wrenching, gut-churningly devastating to exist in a state of consciousness where I feel no connection with the people around me and the people in my life and the people I know I logically love. It is devastating. I'm a very emotional being, and to not feel that, it's a big source of my depression that leads to very dark places and desires for dark decisions. And if I can sit there and neurobiologically explain my experiences, I can reclaim my sanity and reclaim my life and know that this too shall pass, and know that this is my brain doing this miraculous thing because it thinks I need to survive, and I can help empower it through. And that's such a better place to be than, oh my God, I hate everybody in my life and I don't know why. I must be crazy. So the limbic brain, the midbrain, is what helps us connect with people. And so my guess is that's child parts and parts related with helping child. So maybe this is where the caregiver would go. I think of caregiver as a couple different types of roles. So like, let me know your guys' thoughts, because I know words are words are big. There could be a lot of different ways that they're used. But when I say caregiver, I think of someone who takes care of things. And that could be in different ways. Like if you look at parents, for example, there could be a caregiver who does a lot of the cleaning and like financial stuff and like tidying up and maybe not anything emotional, but there's a lot of caregiving happening. And then maybe there's the caregiver who's just all love and all nurture and all nurture and all nurture and all nurture. And, you know, like that's it. And so there's different like aspects to caregiving. And so my theory is that, or my thoughts anyways, is that like reptilian hindbrain caregivers would be much more emotionally disconnected, getting physical stuff done. And then the midbrain, limbic brain protectors would be the nurturing caregivers who help cultivate feelings for child parts. So limbic brain is where child parts live and also parts that help the child parts specifically. And then the neocortex front brain is our centers of rational thought and reasoning develop last. This is the part of your brain that isn't fully mature until you're 25 or 26. If your reptilian brain reacts to a stimulus and your limbic brain tells you how to feel about it, your neocortex helps you make sense of what just happened. So this is the going on with normal life self. The more I verbalize this, the more excited I am about it. I think this is exactly what we've been looking for, to explain parts and be able to involve everyone in the conversation, because the models we were trying before, there were still people who weren't having their experiences explained and they weren't able to share their experiences of parts. And I don't want that. I want everyone to have a platform to share within this like blueprint model I'm creating. So I think this is it. Let me know your guys' thoughts, but I'm feeling pretty confident about this, which never happens. Feeling confident doesn't happen. So that's what I know I'm onto something. It never ever happens. This is not a familiar feeling. So, yeah. So the neocortex makes us human, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And so that's why we can feel like we're not a real human being if we're like just stuck in like trauma parts, because we don't have this thing that helps us put things together and make us feel like a human being. Like one of the biggest things I say all the time when I'm in like these dissociative blackouts and I just don't want to exist is I'm not even a real person. Like, why the fuck should I do all of this healing work when I'm not even a real human being? And it's really hard to get out of that thought because it feels right to the core of my being. My brain is creating this conclusion that feels right to the core of my being, and it's terrifying. There has to be a neurobiological explanation. And that's what the dissociative identity movement is all about. It's the neurobiology of DID and the neurobiology of trauma during early childhood development. That is the focus of the movement, to be very clear. I want everything to be as clear as possible. So please feel free to ask clarifying questions. I want us all to be on the same page. Anywhere in the world that you are, me and you, I want us on the same page. So we got the reptilian brain, the hindbrain, where protector parts live. We have the limbic brain, the midbrain, where child parts and their nurturing caregivers live, and then the neocortex front brain, which is where the normal life self part or parts live. That is my proposal for explaining parts of consciousness. We can explain the neurobiology of things. We can explain all of the different like the timing, like, you know, this part of your brain develops at this age and it has this attributes. And then from that neurobiology, individuals of the movement can branch out and explain their parts of consciousness, how they developed, how they operate, what their role is, what power they offer the system, what resources they offer the system, what memories they hold, what, you know, all the different things from this blueprint, explaining these three brains within our brain and how they develop and would normally integrate, but they don't with people like me. People like you and me. And then, yeah, there's other aspects, but that's all I'll talk about. This video is long enough, but thank you for sticking with me. The movement's just going to keep building and building. If you want to reclaim your power, if you want to learn about the neurobiology of your life experiences, if you want to dive into personality and consciousness, if you want to explore nervous system and how that works and regulates and affects our life experience, if you want to heal, if you're living with any kind of trauma and you want to heal, if you want to express your experiences and give a voice to your story, all of these are reasons to be a part of the dissociative identity movement. It's going to be absolutely incredible. It already is incredible. It is already evolving. It is already happening. And it is the main reason that I am excited to be alive. And I want to share that excitement. I want to share this personal power reclamation. And I want to join together, united with this mission of raising awareness and reviving hope and connecting people and learning to appreciate the complexities of our consciousness and learning to evolve without judgment and with endless compassion. And it's just all of these things. It's all going to be tied into one with this movement. So if you want to be a part of it, please comment below. Tell me how excited you are to change the world with me. Please let me know your thoughts on this. And please, please, please share this video and any videos I create about the movement. If you can share my channel, if you can share videos about the movement, if you can share articles about the movement, if you can share the Facebook group of the movement, anything you can do to share this. And it's not just for people with DID. Literally, all voices are welcome, whether you have DID or OSDD or whether you have never even heard of a dissociative disorder. Literally every voice is needed. Every voice is welcome. And every voice has a role to play in this movement to make this happen, to make this change happen, to create this beautiful worldwide change. So yeah, I love you guys. Thanks for being with me and stepping up to helping us change the world. I'm very excited about this, and I really do believe this is the hope we've been waiting for. Namaste. Sat Nam.